You are listening to Been There, Done That. We present some of the smartest people connected to the business of coffee. People who've succeeded in the tough grind of hospitality by staying ahead of the rest. So join us as we explore the secrets to their success and help you accelerate your business. This show is brought to you by the Coffee Commune, where the coffee community comes to collaborate. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Phil DeBella, and this is another episode of Been There, Done That, brought to you by the Coffee Commune. Here it's all about bringing people that are experts in their field. They have been there and done that, so that we can share their wisdom and their knowledge with you to help you accelerate your potential. And today I have Mr. Peter Biazos, the founding director of B&T Advisory. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Phil.
Now, let me tell you, Peter and I first met at university, so we've known each other for quite a while. This man is very, very talented, as you'll see soon in unpacking. But today we're going to be talking about how can we help you if you've got ATO issues. So think about that. A lot of people have got issues with the ATO. We're going to unpack something in particular called the Small Business Restructure that was set up in 2021 by the Liberal government to help small business. We're going to unpack that further. Peter's going to talk all about what it is and how to access it and how to go about it and what are some of the results he's gotten for some of his clients. That's what we're going to do. But before we start that, let me tell you a little bit about Peter. He's the founding director of B&T Advisory. He's got over 25 years experience in insolvency accountancy here in Brisbane. He's had a number of senior positions and partnerships, as well as being previously an official and registered liquidator, and I believe still is. But his expertise extends to all company sizes, small, medium and large, across different industries. And his key thing is all about being a proactive approach. He doesn't want to see people going broke. He wants to see people prospering. And this is what makes this gentleman completely different to a lot of other people that get appointed as administrators or liquidators, is that they come in after the fact. And one of the conversations I often have with Peter is how can we take a proactive approach to helping people in business. And this is exactly how this topic came about. Peter shared with me around the small business restructure, and in doing that, which he's going to do that in depth on the show now, we were able to help already several people. So those of you listening that need help with the ATO and their issues, this is an episode not to miss because Peter's going to talk about it. So let's kick off straight from the bat. Peter, tell us about the small business restructure and how it was set up in 2021 by the Liberal government.
Okay, thank you for that kind introduction, Phil. That was very kind of you. So the federal government brought in 2021 the Small Business Restructure regime. It was really set up to allow creditors to put a proposal to their creditors to see if they can get out of debt. The process itself is quite simple, but there are some eligibility requirements. Firstly, you have to have debts under $1 million, unsecured debts.
So anyone out there listening, if you've got ATO debts or any debt under $1 million, it has to total.
Look, I prefer to say, we can throw in the baker and the milkman and so forth, but I prefer not to offer them, the 20 cents in the dollar. Prefer them to get paid as we go along. But it's really, this has been set up for the tax office to deal with tax office debt. Yeah.
So just to clarify that, guys, the small business restructure, the purpose of it was to assist people so that it hopefully stops them from going into liquidation and helps them in a way forward, and also to clear some legacy debt.
That's correct.
So just so that you guys are across that. So, and so debts under $1 million. What's the next?
Debts under $1 million. Superannuation has to be paid for the employees.
Which we're big advocate for.
Absolutely, we like to see that. And the other one is the lodgements with the ATO have to be up to date. So you don't have to necessarily have paid, but you have to have your lodgements up to date.
Yeah, and that's a good point you make, right? Because a lot of people that I talk to say the ATO is always going to give you preference if you're proactive with them, not reactive. Yes. Don't let them chase you. Get on that front foot and make sure you're self-reporting to the ATO and following, your requirements from a compliance point to report to the ATO.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. So the process itself, once you qualify for the process, an initial fee is paid to the. It's got to be a registered liquidator. So I've got two in my firm. You've got to have a registered liquidator to take on the appointment. Then an initial fee is paid. That can be anywhere from 12.5 to 25 grand. It's that sort of range, depending on the work that's needed. Coffee commune members definitely getting a discount.
We appreciate that.
We've already done one for a particular gentleman, and he got the result, so he was quite pleased with that.
Yep, so just disclaimer there. Remember, the coffee commune, we don't take any rebates or kickbacks. So there's no commissions paid to us in what people do. And I always say that because people say, how do you get paid? And we say, well, we have partners like Peter that become members and pay a yearly fee. And then, of course, they engage with us by having functions here and the rest of it. That's how we get paid. We don't get paid by commission on how much money you save. But going back to that one, Peter, I have to say a big, big thank you. I've had about 5 messages from the people that you helped. Over $100,000 in savings to the ATO in this case by restructuring and helping them clear that. So the difference between survival or falling over, which is exactly why in 2021 it was brought about, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep. And look, they were a joy to deal with. They did everything we asked of them. The process itself lasts for 7 weeks.
Yep.
So there's 20 business days where we get an opportunity to put the proposal together. So we work with the directors to get the proposal together to put it to the creditors. And then after that 20 days, it goes to creditors. They get 15 business days to then consider their options. If it's accepted, it goes through. The example we just used, it went through literally within 24 hours. They'd paid their it got through at 20 cents in the dollar, so that ATO...
And in this case, they only owed money to the ATO.
Correct, that's right.
Yeah, which is the ultimate position. I mean, obviously it is upsetting because some people will be listening and going, well, what about the milkman or the coffee company or the drink or the food supply or the baker that only gets to 20 cents in the dollar? Well, of course, that's not the ideal. We want to see our suppliers paid in full.
Absolutely.
So I always say, and I'd love your comment on this, Peter, always pay your employees first.
Absolutely.
Always pay your super for your employees first.
Correct.
And then start chipping away at your suppliers.
That's right.
And you'd agree with that?
I'd definitely agree with that. Superannuation, it's the employees' money, really.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that should be definitely paid.
And leave the ATO to last.
Yes, that's right.
And they expect that, don't they?
They certainly expect it, and they've been historically getting 1 to 2 cents in the dollar in a liquidation scenario. So if they shut down, that business that we were talking about, if they shut that business down, they would be very lucky to get 1 or 2 cents in the dollar dividend.
Yeah.
This way, they got 20 cents in the dollar in the space of 5 weeks. So the legacy debt is coming down for the government.
And I have to commend the government on that action.
I agree with you. Yeah,
because I mean, you think about that. We do spend a lot of time. They give us a lot of ammunition. Don't get me wrong, but we spend a lot of time attacking the government, especially myself, on things that are wrong. But I also commend them when they do things right. And I have to say, commend the government of the day, which was the Liberal Party at the time, 2021. And it's not because it's the Liberal Party. If it was a Labor government, I'd be saying congratulations, Labor government.
Yep.
But 2021, they bring this initiative in, and they say pay your employees and the super first.
Absolutely.
The ATO says that, and I commend them on that. And then your suppliers, and then leave your ATO debt till last. But again, the key here is, as a total disclaimer, Peter, and you've got experience in this because I believe you've got 100% success rate at the moment on this small business restructure, is that you have to still report it. You must be reporting to the ATO.
Correct.
Don't treat them like a nobody.
That's right.
Treat them like a somebody and be open and honest with them.
Absolutely, because when it comes to voting time, they look at your compliance history. That's really something they look at. So when we're asking them to accept 20 cents in the dollar, so an 80% saving on your tax bill,
they're going to be nice to the people that were nice to them.
That's exactly right.
Which you'd expect, right?
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah. So let's okay, you talk that they engage you. So anyone listening out there and saying, hey, I've got legacy debt. I've got, I could go into liquidation if I don't solve this. So first step is to contact Peter at B&T Advisory. He will look after you. He's just promised that. They will look at your file, go through it. You have 20 days of obviously going through it and all the rest of it. What happens after 20 days?
After 20 days, we'll send out a report to the creditors. They get a little ticker box thing. We accept the proposal. We don't accept the proposal. As you mentioned, I think I've done 26 of these in the last 4 to 5 months, and we're 100% success rate.
26 over 4 or 5 months and 100% success rate. That's pretty good odds, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. And look, they're pretty much all going through at 20 cents in the dollar. I've had one go through at 18 cents. I've had one go through at 25 cents. So that's the sort of range that the ATO is accepting.
Yeah. And either way, you look at the savings, right?
Yes.
And again, this is not there to be exploited. Let's be honest. This is there to help people, whether they're on that verge of falling over or can I get through?
Yes, that's right.
And you've got to have that clean history of, being up to date and reporting and all the rest of it.
That's right.
So that's really important. So let's go through the checklist again. Your super has to be up to date. Your
Correct.
employee expenses have to be up to date. Your reporting to the ATO has to be up to date.
Yes.
What else has to be?
That's pretty much it.
It.
We will grab the financials very early on, have a look at the balance sheet, check loan accounts, that sort of thing, make sure everything's under $1 million so that the company qualifies.
Yes.
And then we'll communicate with the directors through that 20-day period. Control of the company is retained by the directors, so we don't get involved in day-to-day
That's
trading.
important to know.
Which is very different to a voluntary administration where we're personally liable for debts we incur, so we're more heavily involved. And it's
So it's more advisory, right?
It is, that's right, yeah. So the cost is a lot cheaper. I would say a voluntary administration, you're looking 30,000 upwards sort of thing, and that figure that I mentioned before is sort of where these are at. It's a very quick process, so it's that 5-week process. If you've got the money to pay it, fantastic. We've even there's lenders out there who are specifically lending to small business restructured companies that require it. Yeah. So we've got a number of those on our books that can sort of help you. We've recently done we do groups of companies. We did a group of 7 franchises in Queensland here, small business, just hospitality industry. Again, $1.5 million across the group, and the ATO.
Big savings.
Yeah, they accepted the 20 cents in the dollar.
The game changer, right?
It really is, yeah. The businesses are quite sound. Haven't looked at the financials, but there's just this COVID legacy ATO debt, and that's what we're seeing.
And that is a big point and a good point to make. There is a lot of legacy debt from COVID, because people were completely treading water, if not half drowning.
Yes.
And those that manage that have come through now have got that legacy debt. So, and that's what this was put there for. So, and that's one of the things we're doing is shining a light on that right here at Been There, Done That. A lot of people listening to this wouldn't even know that there's a small business restructure option out there for you to partake in that could possibly help you save your business and definitely clean up that legacy debt that you incurred during COVID. So again, get a hold of Peter and the team at B&T Advisory. Peter, tell me, 1 in 13 hospitality businesses are facing closure in the next 12 months. Before COVID, so 2019, there was 19,000 cafes in Australia. As of the end of last year, there's 26,600 cafes in Australia, which is just ludicrous at a time where obviously, businesses should have been closing down.
Yes, correct.
Not opening up. 1 in 13. So what's the key points that you would make to people right now that are doing it tough, before they think, okay, should I get a hold of this? I can't afford the 13 to 20 grand. Anyone that's sitting there listening to this, what's your advice to them from a proactive point of view?
Yeah, give me a call. Me a call. I'm happy to come out and see you. Coffee Commune members won't be charged for consultation. I'm happy to sit with you for an hour free of charge. I'll come out to your premises. I'll come and see you. We can go through the figures, sit down and go through the figures. I think that's usually the best way to do it. We can do it over the phone, but I like to sit down face to face with people and explain the situation to them and tell them whether they do qualify. Some people just don't qualify, or as you say, they don't have the 12.5 grand to give me for that upfront fee. So look, in regard to the upfront fee, I'm negotiable on that because
you'll work with people on that.
That's correct.
And that's just the good human that you are. As I said, the proactive approach. You've been doing this for a long time, and you've seen obviously all sides. You've seen those that shouldn't have gone into liquidation that have, and those that probably should be in liquidation that haven't.
Yes, that's right.
It's tell me, what do you think is going to be the key for people to make it in the next, say, 12 months to 3 years?
Look, I think it's battening down the hatches. I think, I haven't seen it this busy I've seen the GFC, been through the GFC, been through recessions. This is as busy I've seen it as in insolvency. The figures are saying that. They're at historical highs again, higher than they were pre-COVID now. So, look, I think to answer that, I think, it's really keeping an eye on those expenses. things like rent and wages and so forth, they're out of our control. They're out of your control. So, you've got to be confident that you've got some positive cash flow going forward.
Yeah.
Or, what I say to people is, I talk to you today, but I'd hate to talk to you in 12 months' time and we're actually in a worse position.
Yeah.
And I say to people too who do these small business restructures and actually get through it, why aren't you going to be in this position in 12 months' time? What are you going to do to
what are you
change?
going to do different?
Yeah.
I always say lifeboats. Those that are surviving now, those that, during the good times put some money away.
Yes.
If they were making $1, they were saving 20, 30 cents.
Sure.
They weren't spending $1.
Yes.
And that's whether it's a household or a business. That's the key lesson for me that I keep saying to people right now. If you haven't learnt anything out of this, the one thing to take away is that in times of good, you plan for bad.
Yes.
So that in bad times, you can actually survive them and then prosper in the good times.
Yes.
Put those lifeboats away. You're making $1, put some away. Anyone out there right now making a lot of money, especially those traffic controllers that all got that big pay rise, make sure you're putting some money away because you never know when things are going to turn. And that's the biggest thing in our industry. I always say to people, if your budget to open a cafe is $200,000, well, then you better have $100,000 in the bank to burn. If your budget's $300,000 or $400,000, you better have half of that put aside because businesses don't start making money from day one. And borrowing debt to open business is very dangerous.
Yes.
And you see obviously a lot of that.
Absolutely.
So there's just some of the key takeaways from a proactive approach. Nobody wants to see anybody go broke. It doesn't serve purpose for anybody at all. Tell us what's some of the. Let's talk us through some of the good wins over the 26th without mentioning brands and names.
Sure.
Because it is obviously it's the good side of a bad side, right? It's poor times, but the upside of that is you've been able to help 26 people, which comes with families and all the rest of it that you've been able to help.
That's correct.
Prosper. So talk through some of those.
Yeah,
successes.
sure. Look, the group I mentioned before is a group of 6 companies, or there's about eight different franchises. Look, they were struggling and wondering how they're going to pay that legacy debt. It had crept up through COVID. I went and met with the gentleman who agreed to do 6 of those companies at a fixed price. Mm-hmm. He then offered the 20 cents in the dollar to the ATO, look, verbally they accepted it, and then when it came to ticking off the box, they ticked the box, and so contribution of about $350,000 that he's got to make. Mm-hmm. Great story for him. Means we all the staff get to keep their jobs. He keeps supplying. All his suppliers get to keep supplying to him, and he hasn't had to put in any of the suppliers, so he paid all those.
That's a great
debts.
story.
Yeah, so it was really impressive that he paid those creditors. I have got another one at the moment where there's 40 unsecured creditors, and they're offering 20 cents in the dollar. That doesn't sit really well with me, to be very honest, but it's the proposal that they're putting forward.
But I suppose there's 2 ways to look at it. It doesn't sit well with me being a supplier as well.
Yes.
But again, it's 20 cents or it's nothing.
Well, that's right. Yes, and the business will continue to trade. Without it, business is probably going to go. It's probably going to have to shut. So, it's a bit of a catch-22.
Makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
One of the things I'm finding out there is that there's it's 2 speeds. You've got those that really care and want to do the right thing, and then there's some that are just going to crash and burn and not give a shit.
Yes.
If you're on the flip side, if you're a supplier, how can you protect yourself from your experience?
Yeah, sure.
What should suppliers be looking at?
Yeah, look, personal guarantees I think are just essential. So getting a credit application with a personal guarantee is just such a key, because the corporate veil protects the individual director, whereas if you've got a personal guarantee, the company can go into liquidation, but as soon as that company goes into liquidation, you can pursue the director in a personal capacity. And that's where there's a little bit of hurt. They don't want to lose the house, they don't want to lose the car, so that's where you can put
some personal guarantees.
Yes.
And also being one of the tips I say is just be very careful who you're supplying. There's normally warning signs for businesses that are heading in the wrong direction. One of them is they keep changing suppliers. I remember the DeBella Coffee days. when I owned it, and I would say to people, I'd always say, why are you changing coffee? And if they'd change coffee, 3 times in a year, well, to me, that was a red flag.
Yeah, sure.
Because we didn't come at it from an arrogance point. We just thought, well, the common denominator becomes the cafe if they're changing suppliers so often.
Yes.
And why is that? Is it because they owe money? Is it because they're never happy? What is it? So as a supplier listening to this, I'd be very, choose your customers very carefully.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'd love your thought on this, Peter. Obviously, because you've got that advisory background. I say to people now's not a time to be expecting big profits in your businesses.
No.
It's a holding pattern.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're making something, you're doing well.
Yep.
And if you're paying all the bills, you're doing well too.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you finding that out in the landscape?
Totally agree. Yep. That, as I said, batten down the hatches. Just trying. If you're breaking even at the moment, I think you're doing all right.
And you're finding that across all industries?
Yeah, across all industries. Construction is one, a bit different to what you do here, but the small business restructures, the Queensland government has allowed them, you don't lose your licence if you go into a small business restructure, whereas if you go into a voluntary administration, you lose your licence.
Okay.
So they're helping construction industry.
Because this applies to all industries, not just
that's right.
Not just hospitality.
Not hospitality, but it's probably been set up more so for the hospitality and the construction
for the mum and dad operators.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's why they've kept it to under $1 million. So we're not talking 3 million. And it's more palatable to be able to make a contribution of 20 cents in the dollar. For 150.
Well, you got to think about small business outside the government. Small business employs the most people in the country.
Yes.
So if they all fall over, we can't all be employees of the government.
No, that's right.
So we start becoming a communist country where we're all employees of the big companies or we're employees of the government, and we get rid of that beautiful middle class that we're so accustomed to.
Yeah.
It really is. And again, I have to say, this is the first time I've been in business owner for 22 years across the world, and in this industry for 35 years. This is the first time I've seen everything go up at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Every expense, wages, utilities, cost of goods, rents, nothing's immune.
Yes.
And no industry's immune.
Yes.
And I talk about this, and I'd love your take on this, Peter, as a numbers person. The government wants to talk about the wealth of a country based on the minimum wage. It's irrelevant because you could be earning $200,000 a year, but if your expenses are $220,000 a year, you're going backwards.
Yes, correct.
To me, the measure of the wealth of a country is the disposable income of people, the money they've got left to have fun with after they pay all their commitments.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, you look at what people are paying in rent and mortgages. They're paying over 50% of their salary is going straight into their mortgage or straight into rent. Doesn't leave a lot left to go and have that coffee or go out for dinner with the family. Pay school fees, those sort of things. Yeah. So look, it's really it's tough out there. It's as tough as I've seen it for a long time.
Okay, so the two biggest industries you're seeing is hospitality and construction. And after that, what would be the third?
Look, probably any form of retail. Retail's up there as well.
Well, you're seeing all the downgrades of profits, right? All the public companies that reporting in the retail sector have all downgraded their profits.
No, that's right.
They've all been hit.
Yeah, generally in my game, dealing with landlords is a really difficult thing to do. Lately, they've been so amenable to things because they know, if they kick us out, well, when do they find a next tenant? So they're happy for us to stay in there because when are they going to find someone?
Which is a good point, right? Anyone listening to this and doing it tough, right? Obviously, reach out to Peter at B&T Advisory and look at what can be done with a small business restructure. But conversations. Have a conversation with your landlord.
Yes,
have a conversation with your staff. Have a conversation with the ATO.
Yes.
Have a conversation with your suppliers.
Absolutely.
We've obviously the coffee side of our business where we produce coffee for roasters and that, and of course because we manufacture for roasters. A lot of the roasters are waiting for their money from cafes, and some of them have said, "Hey, can I extend my terms by 7 days or 14 days?
Yeah.
Because it's taking me a while to get paid." And if they have that conversation with us, we'll help them.
Yeah, very good point.
So have those conversations.
Absolutely.
With your suppliers, with your landlords, with your staff. Let them know what's happening. And please, please, please ensure you're always paying your people. Pay your staff, pay their benefits, pay the superannuation, pay your people first, right? And the superannuation. I can't stress that enough. Not only is it morally the right thing to do, but it is the biggest red flag if you don't, to the government, to anybody.
Totally agree.
You need to pay your people and the superannuation, and then you pay your suppliers and you work your way back from there. there. But if you're in doubt, you get good people around you. Come and talk to us at the Coffee Commune. That's why we've set it up as a hospitality chamber of commerce, so to speak, to help people accelerate their potential. We have people like Peter, part of it. We have BDO. We have Hill House Lawyers. We have a team of people that can help, help you accelerate your potential. But doing nothing means you achieve nothing.
Yes.
It really is
Yep.
that position. So, Peter, your expertise has been amazing. Very generous offer there. Get in touch with Peter. The details will be on the podcast. Our wonderful producer will make sure that happens. Get in touch. Peter's offered you, as a member of the commune, he's offered you 1 hour to come and have a coffee. Come to the commune and have a coffee. It'll be our shout. And sit down with Peter and see what he can do to help your business. But remember this, if you do nothing, you achieve nothing. So you can't sit there and say, I didn't know. Ignorance is not how it works. There's going to be those that get up and do the work and get results, and there's those that aren't. Peter, last piece of advice for people listening. What would you say from your 25 years of experience?
Talk to us early. The earlier you can talk to us, the better. Then when we've got options, small business restructure is one option. Look, there's voluntary administrations. There's other options that we can, but if you leave it too late, and the tax office might not be as amenable to something because you made promises to them in the past. Keep it clean. Get in now while the opportunity is there. While the tax office is accepting these proposals, and the mandate is that it's going to continue for the rest of this year, I've been told. So I'd suggest getting it in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and use it while it's there.
Yeah.
And remember this, the ATO wants you to deal with professionals. So dealing with someone like Peter at B&T Advisory, they're going to be more likely to get the result across the line than dealing with you, because they want to deal with experts that know what they're doing. And of course, 26 out of 26 so far, and I hope that 100% strike rate continues.
Thanks very much, Phil.
Peter, thank you for your time. You've been listening to Peter Biazos from B&T Advisory. He's a good Greek fellow, as you can tell by the name. Fantastic at what he does. Great friend and colleague here at the Coffee Commune, and you've seen his very generous offer to help you. But I can tell you, this man has already helped some of our customers. One, he just helped in over $100,000 savings, and you heard the other group that he helped. They weren't clients of ours, but he saved them over $1 million across the 6 venues. So the results speak for themselves. Surround yourself with a team of experts. That's what we're all about here at the Coffee Commune. We're bringing people that have been there and done that to help you accelerate your potential. Today's been another fantastic episode. Peter, I can't thank you enough once again. I love what you're doing. And as you heard from him, get in early. Come and see him early. Peter, thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. Much appreciated. You're
very welcome.
Thank you.
Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBella. This has been another episode of Been There, Done That. As we always say, go and be the best you can be. That's a wrap for today. Keep listening for more episodes of Been There and Done That. The Coffee Commune is here to help accelerate your potential. We want you to be better tomorrow than today. Until next time, you've been listening to Phil DeBella. I'm the founder and managing director of the Coffee Commune, a place where the coffee community comes to collaborate.